Sunday, the start of a new week in hoops, the start of a new week here on NBL Now. Continue with our mid-season report cards and plenty more on the shows this week as we build up to the resumption of the NBL season after the fever break. Joel Peterson with you this morning. Great to have Brad Rosen with me. Good morning, Brad.
Good morning, Joel. You look happy, sun-driven, excited, but have you caught any fish?
No. The waters of South Australia haven't been too profitable for yours truly, but we'll get there hopefully in the next day or so before I head back to the great state of Victoria. But it's a nice break. It's a nice break for everyone. Just about everyone anyway. Of course, we know there's some international stuff happening at the moment. How are you spending your few days off all away from hoops, so to speak?
I'll tell you, I was sitting on the couch, I'm looking around, and I saw this lady, I'm talking to her, and I found out it's my wife. It was unbelievable, Joel. It was just something I hadn't seen for a while, and it was good. But look, missed the basketball, obviously. That's a huge thing, but it was nice to have actually a weekend off, hang around with the kids.
And watch the Aussies get absolutely spifflicated in the cricket. But we do not need to delve into that. Hey, big NBL news day, of course. We'll hear a little bit more about how this Adelaide-Melbourne United incident shakes out. The 36ers have lawyered up. There's a single member hearing today. So NBL app, nbl.com.au for all the news on that as it lands throughout the day. That'll be a big story to monitor. We know the Boomers have been in action over this break as well. Damon and I talked about that on Friday. Chris Golding had hit 9 threes, coming off his 46-point performance recently in, of course, our NBL. Oh, and he just goes one better and hits 10. So a win for the Boomers over Korea. Chris Golding's hit 10 threes, Brad. What is this man eating at the moment?
Man, I'm telling you, I'm not happy with Chris Golding. He missed 11 threes over 2 games, Joel. What is going on? He shot 30 threes and he missed 11. Oh, my God, I cannot believe it. No, in all seriousness, 19 threes over 2 games. Coming off a 46-point game, can I say, playing against Perth last week or the week before. This guy, if you're Dean Vickham and you're like, stop, CG. We need you to keep him for the NBL season. But I don't know if I've seen a performance like this. This is just outrageous. Little bit of a, hey, remember me? The one that didn't go to Paris is certainly in there. What a fantastic performance by CG43.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Ben Henschel was great again for the Boomers. So
yes.
a really nice window for them. Jacob Chance, they get a couple of wins and take that away. And some good performances all round from those representing the NBL.
Can I just jump in there, Joel,
stage.
and say, how happy would you be if you're the coaches, the players that have gone away there, and now they get to come back and be in the NBL? I know there's the break. Do you want them to play? But the lift that they will get for this will be really beneficial, certainly for like a Perth with a Ben Henschel. That is just an outstanding thing, and that will really benefit them.
Yeah, and hopefully for someone like a Rocco Zikarsky who played well in that first Boomers game, coming off a better performance in the NBL as well. So hopefully there's just a little bit of an upswing in some of those players' seasons. So, of course, they'll be back in action a little bit later this week. Hey, we're continuing with our mid-season report cards this morning. And we've got Tassie, who have had a really fascinating campaign, of course, coming off the back of their championship season. So much expectation around this team. Not a lot of change roster-wise. And then they really struggled out of the blocks. And we know that the trials and tribulations that they've been through with travel and with injury, they started to pick the pieces up now as we head toward the break. So let's assess their season and take a little bit of a snapshot of it. What's the biggest positive for the Jackies so far this campaign?
Well, let me start by saying, Joel, this is everyone's second favourite team. And I do love Tasmania. I love that they've been in 2 grand finals. They've won 1. Love what they've been able to do. As they've been a better story than Jack McVeigh over the past 12 months of what happened with him, with everything. So on that side of things, I am just a massive fan of what Tasmania done. But my job today is to break them down, and it hasn't been a great season for them, and I feel for them for whatever reason, but we will break it down. The best positive, without a doubt, is Will Magnay. The guy's healthy, he's playing, he's blocking shots, he's running the floor, his points are up. He has been such a big superstar for this team, the way he's played, and for me, he is the complete upside and really trying his absolute best to carry this team along with the imports that they have in Milton, Doyle and Crawford. But yeah, Will Magnay has been tremendous so far this season.
And a unique talent as far as that competition goes too. He's sort of the box office on the defensive end, which is just such an exciting prospect. I feel like I know where this might go. The biggest challenge for Tassie this season.
Yes, it's not going to be rocket science, is it? It's scoring, right? That's as simple as it is. Look, they're averaging 79 points a game. Now, last year they were averaging 91. This year they're shooting at 39% from the field, at 31 from the three-point line. Last year was 46% from the field and 38% from the three-point line. Whilst I understand the feeling that, Milton Doyle and Jordan Crawford should be shooting more, they're still performing at that level, I believe, than what they were at the level they were at last year. Their points may be a little bit down. Their shots per selection is a little bit harder this year, so they've got to take a few more tougher shots, which is why, the points won't drop. But for me, it's the fact that they're just not getting what they need to be able to get the points on the board. If they were scoring that 90 points that they were last year, they'd be in the top 4. It's as simple as that. And for me, it's just the points. They need to put points on the board. They've got to get wins that way.
With Shawn McDonald back in that last round before the break, was there a little bit of a sign of life in some way for you as far as just the ball movement and how the offense functioned?
Loved it. 7 points and 7 assists. I thought he was tremendous. That's exactly what you want. And he's been such a loss to them. I mean, nothing will cover a Jack McVeigh, but the fact that, Shawn was out, it was such a big loss to them. For him to come back, and he was underdone, you could see that. But just the ball movement, exactly what you said, be able to get the ball to the right position. Another guy that, if I'm open, I'll shoot it, but you better guard me because if you don't, I'm going to kick it. And then that allowed guys to get freed up a little bit more. And like I said, 7.7 assists, you couldn't ask more.
I'm really interested to see where you go with this. The biggest surprise packet for Tassie so far this season?
Now, this was a tough one because I'm thinking, what is it? And the biggest surprise I've got is that they haven't been able to find that additional scorer. I thought with the way that Scott Roth is able to perform and coach this team, I thought he would find out another way of being able to get what that score will be. Now, whether that's points in the paint, whether that's transition, whether that's half-court traps, whether it's playing more of a matchup zone and getting out and running, I really thought that they would be able to do something different. So my biggest surprise is that they haven't been able to find that. Now, Craig Sword, I feel sorry for this guy. He was brought into this team with Jack McVeigh signed, and he had a role. Well, Jack goes out, I think it was 17 points a game or whatever he was scoring, and now they bring in a guy that's scoring 6 points a game. That 11 points, what does that equate to? The difference pretty much between 79 and 90, what I'm telling you about before. So it is that position where I just feel, I don't mean Craig Sword's position, I mean that third import position. That's where I feel is the biggest downside at the moment, and that's not a reflect to him. That's not his role. It's not what he was brought into, but the biggest surprise is that they haven't been able to find that extra scoring punch. They're the lowest in the league in a lot of categories, and one of those is points in the paint as well, even with Will Magnay in this team.
Yeah, it's a good way to sum it up. It's been a real problem for them just not having the option outside of those guys. And when they have got the ball to Will Magnay in patches, they look good. They look good at sort of making him more of a part of the offense. So that might be something they can go with later on. Your team MVP so far this season for Tassie?
Yeah, no shock. It has to be Will Magnay. I think he's great. I think Will Magnay is the biggest impact player that they have in this team. He's great. I think with Milton Doyle, he's a very big key. It's like the Bryce Cotton, Keanu Pinder sort of situation where Bryce is the man, but the most important player is probably Keanu when you look at it that way. And I feel a little bit the same. Will Magnay's the MVP and Milton Doyle's probably the most important in that sense because when he's scoring, the team's rolling. You know you're going to get what you get out of Will Magnay. But for me, team MVP and, in fact, all-star stud, definitely in the all-NBL team, number one for me, Will Magnay, playing outstanding.
So when we resume, what do you need to see? What are you looking for out of this Tassie team to see if they're on the right path?
Get back to Tasmania basketball. The one thing I'm sort of a little bit uneasy and shocked about is I don't hear defend the island anymore. I don't hear that slogan where that was like, come on, Tasmania, get on our back. It's us against the world. Now they're not the huntee, they're the hunted, right? They've come off a championship. Everyone's like, no, you're not going under the radar anymore. We want you. But I haven't got that defend the island. And I want to see that get back to that because, even Scott Roth, when he stood up and they won a championship, he stood in front of everyone and he said, island defended. And I loved it. That was the slogan. That's what they wanted. That's how they said they were going to be. And I feel they've got away with that this year. Yes, they've lost the greatest player you could argue in that team in Jack McVeigh. Yes, they haven't got what they've got, but to me, they just don't have that grit where they're like, you know what? Stuff you all. Can't stand any one of you. We don't want you, and we're going to defend our island and win it. And that's what I want to get. I want to see these guys knock them to the floor. I want to see Drimmick get into his hustles and pushing and shoving, because that's what Tasmania basketball was last year. And get back and defend that island.
Yeah, hopefully they can find it, because it is such a part of their identity, and to be perfectly honest, been such a part of the league over the last few years when they have been up and running, and they've been a challenger. So if you're getting the red pen out and you're putting a grade on this test so far, Brad, what are you putting there?
Look, I got to go. It was the C-, but it's a D. I can't give it, and I know I feel so bad doing this because I love them. It's like your baby brother that you're having a go at, and I really feel bad. But they're sitting in last spot. They're in last in a lot of categories. The only thing they were last year was attempted free throws, and you can live with that because they move the ball and shoot it so well. But the way that they're playing at the moment, I have to give them that D. I don't think they're going to come last. I think they'll get wins. That's not what I'm talking about. But I am rating them on the fact that they are the defending champions. They've been in 2 grand finals and a semi-final, and I feel they need to get back and defend that island.
So they've played 13 games so far. They're 5-8, so 16 on the other side of the break, of course, with the extra game this season for all of the teams. Undefeated at MyState Bank Arena too, so that's a little wrinkle in here where they're undefeated down there. 2 teams have picked them in the summer shootout, bizarrely, which I don't quite understand, but the back end of their season will be fascinating to see where they end up. Where do you think they end up?
Look, I've got them in 8th spot at the moment. I just feel that the teams above them are just going to get more wins, as it's simple as that. It's just unless a change happens, which I'm not suggesting. If a change was going to happen, you would have thought it would have happened by now, especially with a break and everything. So I'm not suggesting that's going to happen. But I think with the team they've got, I just can't see how they can score that 90 points per game. They'll get them some games. The key right now is what difference will Shawn McDonald make? And if Shawn can make that difference, then I think we could see them get more wins, but I can't see them getting into the 6 in the current format.
It's a long road back. Just on this summer shootout game too. So 31st of January, they've got Southeast Melbourne as their summer shootout game. They could go right down to the wire as to whether they can get the cash or not.
Well, I've heard a lot of the commentators say, kudos to the NBL. This is outstanding. I love the fact that this is happening and everyone's already having a say. It's causing momentum and talk and everything. This is brilliant. This is exactly the type of thing that the NBL needs. Of course, we see it in the NBA with the in-season tournament. Look, Southeast, I don't mind that. You know, like they're an up and down team and not renowned in a sense, although they're getting much better now to shutting down people. So this could come down to the 31st, and you just never know. Milton Doyle could go for 40. Crawford goes for 35. They start hitting shots, and anything could happen. And they are a team capable of getting 110. No question. You can see that happening. It's just, can they do it consistently? So looking forward to this shootout, that's for sure, Joel.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking forward to having some NBL basketball back too later on this week. Brad, always good to chat. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Joel. Can't wait for the NBL to start up again this weekend.
Absolutely. Brad Rosen with us on NBL Now. Thanks for your company. NBL app, nbl.com.au for all your news throughout the week.